Welcome back to Building Safety Faces. I'm joined today by Philippe Wilson, and we're a bit compressed for time today because we've had some recording issues, so we're going to run through really quickly, but hopefully cover some of the key points. So Philippe, welcome.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. So can you talk us through, firstly, just to sort of, so everyone's aware, just let us know some of the sort of basics about the issue with your block and where you are and the problems that you find yourself with at the moment.
Yeah, so I live in a development with 502 flats. In 2017, we found out that we had ACM cladding issues. We wrote to our developer, and after about a year, they agreed to pay for the remedial costs, which are currently ongoing. We've had cladding removed from 2 of the blocks, and the remaining 2 still have ongoing works. And then, yeah, it's just continuation with living with scaffolding constantly and finding more and more defects as things unfold. As we've removed some of the cladding, we've found other issues as well.
And are they picking up and paying for the other issues that are being found, or are you sort of in a bit of a standoff over that?
Yeah, so they came in July and did a series of tests on various parts of the buildings, but we're still waiting for those reports. They did not want to disclose those, so we've had to pay for our own EWS1 forms to try and understand what's going on, but we're still waiting for those as well. So we're in a space where we don't quite know what's going on. There was an indication that some of the buildings had missing cavity barriers, but we don't know if that covers the whole, all the blocks, or just a few of them, and if it's particular new ones that were built in a lot earlier and ones were built within 2015. We don't know which ones it is. More recently, we've scaffolding put up on the side of one of the blocks, and no one's actually able to tell us what's going on there. We understand it's for testing, but we're only given two weeks notice for the scaffolding to go up. So yeah, we have no idea what that is. The management agent has no information. The freeholder have stated they have no information. Then we've contacted the contractors who are looking after the scaffolding and all the works, and they're unwilling to give us any more information. And we've written to the developer, who are also ignoring us as well. So we're in a place where we don't actually know what's going on.
And this really sort of brings home to me the sort of the lack of empowerment that leaseholders have got, in the sense that, you know, you're all living in a block there. You don't know what's wrong with it, what's right with it. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody seems to know what's going on. And this sort of absurdity that someone else can come and wrap your building in scaffold and
exactly
not even have the courtesy to tell you what it's for.
Simply, yeah, it seems like they can just do what they want, really, and put it up. And I feel sorry for the people who have their balconies covered up as well. The ones on the ground floor, it's all covered up by high wood, about 8 foot high, so they've got no light going into their flat. So yeah, it's ridiculous, really, that they can't even tell us what's going on.
And is there there's active work going on at the moment on the blocks? You said that, or have they just been stripped and then everyone's left?
Yes, so they've been stripped of the Kingspan foam, and a lot of the cladding's come off. But then it's just in the moment that there doesn't seem to be many workers at the moment. I'm not sure if that's like COVID restrictions, but there is some work still going on. So you can see behind me, there's a lot of scaffolding there.
So as we're recording at the moment, so it's snowing outside, it's -5 with wind chill, and some of your neighbours have got the insulation stripped off their apartments.
Yes, they've got nothing, so they're just like the bare walls, without any insulation, without any of the metal cladding, ACM on the outside. So the flat's absolutely freezing, having to have the heating on constantly. Yeah, it's just not right, really.
And so how long have some of them been in that situation then, where they've had
that's been since July, I think.
So yeah, 6-7 months.
Yeah, especially coming into the winter months as well. Now, yeah, as you say, with snow outside.
And no clarity yet as to when the external wall's going to be replaced?
No, yeah, no real updates, or no information, really.
Okay, so when the government talk about, you know, their 95% of ACM buildings being stripped, etc., you're one of those numbers where technically, yes, this material has been stripped from the building, but what they don't say is, has something else been put back in its place?
Exactly. So at the moment we're in limbo land with with it, yeah, being stripped, and there's no clear indication when it's going to be fully replaced with clear guidelines, and especially with investigations into missing cavity barriers as well. It's like, will the scaffolding stay up on our buildings, or will more have to go up on all the walls? Yeah, just no clarity really.
Wow. And you, when you bought this apartment, you went to a solicitor and you did everything in the right way to buy what you thought was a safe and well-built apartment, I assume.
Exactly, yeah. It was in great location. Went to see it quite a few times. Finally decided on purchasing it. Absolute life savings. It was a lifetime goal ticked off. So all my life worked extra hours in two jobs a lot of the time, just so I could save up enough money to get it. Yeah, and now obviously unable to sell. I know some of my neighbours have been really struggling, and some of my neighbours also have been struggling even to rent out their properties. So they've wanted to move out of London, but a lot of the properties are empty because there's scaffolding up there, and renters obviously don't want to live in what feels like a bit of a prison with the bars around. So yeah.
And as we were sort of teeing up to do this call, we said we wouldn't name the developer of the block for a number of key reasons, but suffice to say they're a well-known developer, and I'm assuming when you bought, did that give you some comfort that it was a well-known large company that you were buying from?
Yes, definitely. And you just don't think these things can go wrong. You think that there'll be measures put in place by the government to secure your homes. Yeah, especially leasehold was not entirely what exactly. I didn't know exactly what leasehold fully was, so I would have expected that there would have been a lot of things in place, especially with, I was sold my service charge at one price, 1,600, and within 12 months it had risen to 2,700, 2,800, year after, circa £3,000 now. And it's looking at the Section 21 reports, it's quite clear that there's a lot of irregular activity that these charges shouldn't have risen so much, and especially with a lot of the defects that we're finding now, is are we going to be paying for those, or is it the developer who's going to come forward and pay for those as well?
Yeah, it's really unclear, isn't it? And we talked before also around the, and we've touched on this a bit, but around management communication, communication with the management company. So obviously that we've discussed the issue about the works, but I think before we were talking about some of the other things that have gone on within, inside the building that just seem to have sort of fallen through the cracks or not been talked about.
Yeah, so particularly our district heating, that's one issue. So throughout the winter, quite often we've had it cutting out, and we've not had heating or hot water for weeks on end. There's some blocks that haven't had it for months. Something's gone on within the flat with a knock-on effect from the whole district heating going down. And also we've been waiting for parts to come from foreign countries as well. So that's delayed things. But yeah, so we were sold that we'd have this energy saving district heating system where we'd have a central heating point which would generate 60% of the energy, so be extremely efficient. But then we found out that that's not even been turned on since I've lived here, since I completed. So we've been running on 4 backup boilers, and we've also found out that one of those backup boilers hasn't been working, and it could be as long as 3 years, maybe longer. There was a long leak. But as you say, with the management records, there's no real way for us to check when that boiler went down or what issues there were at the time, because there's no digital records of this. And our previous management agent haven't, to my knowledge, passed this on. And when I asked when they were in management for these records, they failed to give these to me.
Yeah, we are seeing that as a recurring theme across multiple blocks, where even some over the weekend, where somebody had been told in a management meeting that the management company said we don't have these records, and these were fundamental kind of legal requirements that these records are kept. And it's not so much the record that's important; it's the evidence of the safety check or the maintenance that had taken place. So had the actual act been, had the work been done,
exactly,
not recorded, or had we not recorded the fact that we haven't done any work, that's the big unknown.
So when I went to visit the district heating room, I could see that one of all the scale reducers and water filters said need of service, so that they obviously hadn't been serviced for over 12 months or however long that period was. Yeah, just wanted to find out why the CHP hasn't been turned on if it's generating so much power for the estate. Why are we running on these backup boilers, and what was the reason for it not to be turned on? And then because it's been so long, we're going to have to pick up these repairs to try and get it active again. And then the knock-on effect of that is all these backup boilers that have been running non-stop when they shouldn't have had so much heating go through them. There's knock-on effect for all the bills and the supply for that as well.
Yeah, and I think, to my mind, it's not an unrealistic expectation for leaseholders to, one, if you appoint a professional management company, that they actually professionally manage the building and keep it compliant. But then secondarily, being, as the customer, having some rights to be able to actually take a look at what they're doing, or where is the accountability within the process. And I think what you've told me about the external scaffolding appearing, the district heating, it really does sort of show almost the sort of the contempt in which the customers or the leaseholders, the residents of a building can often be held in, which I think is a real shame and something needs to be done, really.
Yeah, definitely. And also going back to the district heating, we recently found out when we appointed our new estate managers that there had actually been no gas supplier appointed. So there was no mains meter. So the developer were taking gas off the grid and then charging leaseholders like 6.7p per kilowatt, but actually not giving that money back to a gas supplier or back to the service charge. So they're effectively making another stream of income off the leaseholders, which we're now fighting with the developer. Even our freeholder and their solicitors aren't getting answers. We're owed about £250,000, and because of that, we only had one choice of supplier for gas, because no one else wanted to take on the risk of 7.5 years of unpaid bills. What would be the consequences of that? So again, we were lumped with a very, very high priced compared to the UK average of price of gas. So again, that's another knock-on effect from mismanagement and a scheme that maybe the developer and the management company had to generate extra income from leaseholders.
So is there a possibility then that you've already paid the 250k? Is there a possibility that there could be a retrospective bill from the gas supplier at some point?
Yes.
On top of that, so you don't have to sort of 2 or 3 times.
Exactly. We were told that could be a possibility. And therefore, if we don't actually have the funds for that, then, yeah, as you say, we're going to have to pay double the amount again.
Doesn't get much better, does it? It's, yeah, I think the more we dig into this, the more, yeah, we've only covered 2 issues there. There
are a lot more.
I know that there are others that we've talked about before. So just sort of turning it around to, so we talked about communication. So when we've actually come on to the next point, which I wanted to raise with you, is around the sort of the testing and the maintenance and the just these boring, recurring but essential tasks that the management company need to do to keep you. So we've obviously they've missed managing the district heating properly. I think we've had some issues with dry risers in the buildings before, and I mean, generally, what's your take on how well or not the fabric of the building has been maintained?
Yeah, well, there's clear evidence that the fact that they can't supply us with documentation on demand shows that there may possibly have been actually no servicing carried out in the different aspects. So as you said, with the dry risers, we found out that there's missing pipe, which should have been picked up for all the servicing over the past 5 years, but and shouldn't have actually been built as it was. So if there was actual documentation of this, we could see when did that pipe go missing, what was the reason for that. But at the moment we don't, and now we're faced with a potential 35 grand bill to install the correct pipe work.
I think it's important to remind everybody that's watching, this is a building that is, what, 7 years old-ish?
Yeah, so my building's 5.5 years old, but the development seven, just over 7.
Okay, so we're talking about a modern,
very modern building, yeah.
Within its, just around about its 6-year Defective Premises Act statute of limitation, within a new build warranty. We're not talking about a 40 or 50-year-old building here that's been left to decay. This is this is pretty much a new building, isn't it?
New build, yeah. You just wouldn't expect leaks in every single building. Yeah, deep defects everywhere. So yeah, it's just just a bit of a shame. From is it the build or is it the mismanagement? But yeah.
Yeah, I think and I think a lot of time people sort of equate, well, if I bought a car that behaved like this, the manufacturer will take it back. But sort of thinking about that, I think probably a lot of people watching this will have cars that are older than your building. And you'd be annoyed, if the engine blew up on your car and it was 7 years old, you'd be, okay, it might be out of warranty, but you'd be thinking, hang on a minute, a car should last longer than 7 years. But here we're talking about people's homes that
exactly
last forever in theory, that.
And with a car, you get a logbook, so then you can see all the works that were carried out previously as well, and you can identify any issues as well. Whereas this building, we haven't got that, so it's just impossible to track if we haven't got the correct management in place.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. So about 6 months ago, we got when I bought a second-hand Mini, and it all looked lovely, and we're sitting in there. My wife and I were sitting in the front of the car, and we thought this is a nice car, and called up the service book on the dashboard. And you see, and it wasn't entirely clear sort of what it meant or how to interpret it. So I just got the phone out and called a mini garage and said, look, gave them the registration. They said, oh yeah. And they confirmed to me what I was seeing on the screen. That got us to the point where we felt, okay, it's been serviced properly. Everything seems to be fine. The mileage checks out. Let's buy this. But the biggest asset that you own, or what people thought was the biggest asset they own, a flat or a house, there's no information. It's sort of, may have been serviced, may not have been, may be safe, may not be safe, who knows.
Yeah, but either or, it's now got to have this service done, here's the bill. So that's the issue, and then the bill is much higher because there are a lot of issues that weren't addressed earlier.
Yeah, I think we'll get there, but there are so many broader issues with the building safety crisis than just cladding, and I think we're seeing that move now, where a lot more people are saying, look, we need to stop talking about cladding in its entirety. We need to be talking about building safety and all the other stuff that needs to go on. But just on the sort of the work front then. So we had an interesting chat earlier about your startup. So obviously I'm in technology, you're in technology. But tell us quickly, give us a quick plug on what you do day to day and what that means to.
Yeah, so going on the servicing of buildings. So when I first moved into my property, I had a hot water cylinder and an HRU, which was very expensive to get serviced. So didn't want to pay that full price every year. So clubbed together with my neighbours to find a heating engineer that could service the whole block at the same time and give a price reduction to everyone. So that really took off. So been helping estates all over East London and Sussex with getting their annual servicing and their boiler servicing and heating services at a much lower cost, by all of us working together and getting a heating engineer and plumber on the same day. Really? So it's a company called boilerbooker.com.
So boilerbooker.com. Okay, great. Well, it's good to get a plug. So hopefully
thanks so much, Matt. Yeah.
We need that. They'll get in touch and they'll have seen the face behind it. So that's brilliant. Well, Philippe, thank you very much. Sorry, we're so short of time. Yeah, it's really good to talk to you, and thank you for coming on Building Safety Faces.
Yeah, and thanks so much for all your work on this and all the information you've provided me before as well. It's been invaluable.
No worries. All right.